Right now I'm quilting this really great orange pill design by Marci Gore from Lily Street Quilts. It's great because the entire section gets quilted. Depending on the size, you might be able to fit 2 in a boundary, but the size I'm doing today, I can only fit 1. And right now it is selected because I want to show you something I'm doing. So I have rolled the quilt. I'm ready for the next section, but what happens sometimes is the design stretches on both sides, and it's really obnoxious that the computer does that, but kind of is what it is. And I actually use 2 reference point. There's one purple one right there, and then I have one on the other side as well. So what I do when I have a design like this that I need to match up on the rows, what I'll do is place the needle down in one of the points that are actually quilted out, and then I come up here, and on my Gammill Statler I have crosshairs. Those are those 2 lines there. So if I zoom in, so you notice that this top row is red, it's quilted out, and the yellow row is selected. But if you notice, the crosshairs are a little off. So what I do is get that reference point from somewhere I've already quilted, and then I'm going to, because I have this whole section selected, I'm going to zoom out. That whole section is selected, and I've already drug that side in a hair, and it's really just a hair that I'm dragging it in, so it really doesn't change the size of the design. But what I'm going to do, and sometimes I have to go back and forth a few times, because you can see that's pretty close, but it's really not centered right in there. So I'm going to drag it out just a hair more. I'm going to kind of go back and forth until I can get it right on. Let's see if I can do that with one hand. It's kind of obnoxious to have to do this, but this happens with almost every design that I have. The ones that don't touch, they don't matter so much as far as getting the spacing on exactly, but there you go. I finally got the crosshairs right between there. So now what I'll do is go a few other spots in here and just make sure it's pretty close with lining up. So that does look off with what's quilted there, but that's okay because the computer stretched this design while it was at it. So I actually do that every time I advance a quilt, just because then it's on. So I hope that helps you. If I unselect it, then there you go. The black will be what I quilt next, blue is the unquilted, and red is the quilted. So I hope that helps. Give that a try on the designs that you have where you have to line those things up. So I've quilted out a couple, or like 1.5 of that design. You can see that it meets up there. So this really isn't the quilting design doing this, it is the computer software, and I've heard other people are having the same problem, and it really does happen from design to design to design. So if your computer is stretching your design at all, just select that whole section that's in your current boundary and drag it in a hair. And the great thing is it's not changing the size of the design. It still looks the same as it did before. So if you get to a point in here where it doesn't feel like it's going to match up exactly, that's when I push a little bit depending on the direction on the quilt, and then it meets up. And I mean very little bit. I shared a video about that before. So let me show you kind of what I mean. So I'm going to let this quilt out. I'm not really going to push because this is lining up good, but I will show you where I would if it wasn't lining up. So I let it quilt out completely here, and I know that if you quilt, you know not to lean on your bar or anything or on the quilt, because that definitely can change if designs are lining up. But when you do need to encourage the needle to meet the right point, you can totally do it. So this is going to now come up here and meet right here in this spot, but I don't need to push it at all. But what I would do is push it up here on the top or on the side, and it would help the needle meet that point better. I would do it right there. But you don't want to do it down here. You want it to finish quilting out good so it's not off at all in the other section. So try that out if you're having some problem lining things up here, and see how that works. Thanks for watching.